If you've been placed on a medical school waitlist, it can feel frustrating not knowing what's next. Will you get off the waitlist? How long will you have to wait for? How many of you are on a medical school waitlist? Today, I'll be answering these questions and a variety of other frequently asked questions surrounding medical school waitlists. Lastly, I'm going to give you 4 things that you can do now to help you get off the waitlist and get accepted. Before we get started, hi, I'm Nadine Evans with BeMo Academic Consulting. Make sure you subscribe on whatever social media channel you're watching this from now so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you'd like us to help you get into medical school, be sure to click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. I want to start by explaining how a medical school waitlist works. By mid-March, medical schools in the U.S. have sent out acceptance offers at least equal to the number of positions available in its entering class. Because schools don't know which students will accept or reject their offers, they always send out more acceptances than available spaces. So even with this measure, there is often still spaces available, which is what sparks the creation of the medical school waitlist. Medical schools want to try and fill all available positions in the entering medical school class. So they create a waitlist with a list of qualified individuals that are ready to take the spots of those that were ahead of them that have chose to accept an offer at a different school. There are 2 types of medical school waitlists, and some schools use both while others only use one. The first type of waitlist is the pre-interview waitlist, and this happens when the admissions committees are reviewing applications. Some applicants will be sent interview requests while others will be put on a waitlist for an interview. The second type of waitlist happens post-interview. Students on this waitlist have already completed their interview and they're waiting for either acceptance or rejection, but they've been put on a waitlist instead. The most commonly asked questions we get surrounding medical school waitlists is, why have I been waitlisted? Firstly, you should be proud of yourself. Getting waitlisted is a huge accomplishment because your application is more competitive than many other applications, which is why you haven't been rejected. Understandably though, it doesn't make it any less frustrating. There are 2 main reasons why students are waitlisted. The first reason that we often see is because you applied to medical school too late. The admissions committee may have already filled their interview spots when they receive your application. So this is why it's really important to apply well in advance of medical school application deadlines, ideally at the beginning to middle of June. The next reason why you may be put on a medical school waitlist is because you're considered a great candidate, again, which is why they haven't rejected you, but you didn't completely blow away the admissions committee in all areas of your application or interview. While you are seen as a strong applicant, others may be seen as stronger. And this could come down to the strength of your essays, your medical school personal statement, secondary applications, your GPA and MCAT scores, or even your interview performance. Students often want to know how many of us are waitlisted, but this is very difficult to answer because it's nearly impossible to know how many students have been placed on a waitlist. This number totally varies between schools and can change year after year. Some put a few hundred students on their waitlist, like the University of Virginia, for example, which placed 175 individuals on their waitlist last year, while others won't indicate how many are waiting. The next question we get asked is, where am I on the waitlist? The answer to this totally depends on the school, as each one has its own procedure for how they assess waitlisted applicants. Some medical schools rank their waitlisted applicants, and they let students know what position they hold and notify them when they move up a position. Other medical schools assign students to different groups based on certain qualities, and unfortunately, many don't rank their waitlist at all. They simply review each applicant on the waitlist when the time comes to determine which candidates should be offered admission. How long will I have to wait? So for students that have been waitlisted after their interview, the amount of time that they'll have to wait can vary from weeks to months. Some schools, like the New York Medical College, clear their waitlist by mid-July, while other schools maintain their waitlist right up to orientation day. Because of this variance, it's difficult to know exactly how long you'll be waiting for before you receive an acceptance or a rejection. It's a good idea to check the school's procedure for waitlisted applicants because many will give an indication as to whether you might wait until up to July or if they keep their waitlist right up to orientation day. This at least will give you an idea of the maximum amount of time that you'll be waiting for, but anything can happen with waitlists. You could be lucky enough to be offered admission early on and be off the waitlist within a month. It's just so hard to know for sure. The next question I want to address is, when are acceptances sent to waitlisted students? Acceptances can be sent at any time to waitlisted students, but the majority of acceptances are sent in April to May, and this is because of the AMCAS traffic rules. In accordance with these rules, all applicants should be notified of their acceptance on or after mid-October. By mid-March, schools have to issue acceptance offers at least equal to the number of students in its entering class, but as previously discussed, they'll likely send out many more. By mid-April, students who received multiple acceptances will have to narrow down their choice to 3 or fewer schools and withdraw their acceptance from other schools. At the end of April, students are not allowed to hold multiple acceptances, so they must accept one school and release the other acceptances. So due to this process, most waitlisted individuals will begin gaining admission leading up to the end of April and to the start of May. And the reason for this is because at this point, medical schools have a pretty good idea of how their incoming class is shaping up, and they can identify any unfilled positions. So many will start sending acceptances after this time to fill their empty seats. Now, that's not to say that if you didn't receive a notification by May that all hope is lost. Plans change and some students still withdraw their acceptances up until orientation day, so many schools keep their waitlist open until this time. How many students get accepted from medical school waitlists? Unfortunately, no one knows exactly how many students will be accepted from the waitlist. Not even the schools themselves can predict how many withdrawals they'll receive throughout the admission cycle. Ivy League schools may accept fewer students from their waitlist, as many who have applied to these schools have these schools ranked as their number one choice. Some medical school entering classes are comprised of many students from the waitlist, while others only contain a handful. So it totally depends year after year, and it depends on the school as well. What factors are considered when deciding who should be accepted from the waitlist? Although medical schools don't reveal exactly which factors they consider when deciding who should be accepted from the waitlist, many look at individuals holistically and review applicants like they are part of a separate admissions process. The current composition of the entering class is also likely taken into account so they can assess which students can best fill any voids. Medical schools may consider in-state versus out-of-state ratio of the incoming class, grades, test scores, AMCAS work and activities section, letters of recommendation, and interview scores when making their decisions. The next question is a very popular one. Students often say to us, "I'm waitlisted and have no other acceptances. What should I do?" This can be so difficult for students to decide what to do if they've been placed on a waitlist, especially if they've been on that waitlist for months and don't have any other offers of acceptance. If it's still early on in the admission cycle, there are steps that I'm going to discuss next that can help improve your chances of getting off the waitlist and get accepted. So stick around as I'm going to cover that in just a few minutes. If it's later on into the admission cycle, some students accept that this year wasn't the right year for them, so they begin preparing their applications early so they can reapply in June. Other students consider employment opportunities or academic programs to pursue for the year before reapplying the following cycle. The truth is, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to deciding what to do, but it's important that you start thinking about future plans early so you're not unprepared and unintentionally find yourself taking a gap year. Okay, so now for the most important question: how can I get off the waitlist? Being waitlisted for medical school can leave you feeling hopeless, like there's nothing left to do but wait and find out if you'll be admitted or not. But this isn't necessarily true. While it is true that the final decision rests in the admissions committee's hands, if you're waitlisted, you still have the power to improve your chances of getting off the waitlist and getting accepted. The most important thing you can do to get off the waitlist is to demonstrate your continued interest and commitment to the school. You can do this by keeping in touch with the school, sending them extra pieces of information that they should consider while reviewing you as an applicant. Before you begin crafting any documentation to send, just make sure that you first review and adhere to each school's policies on contacting the admissions committee via email or phone. While many schools welcome update letters, additional documents, and letters of intent, some schools do not permit them, so just be sure that you check these policies beforehand. So here are the 4 things that you can do now to help you get off the waitlist. The number one thing I can tell you to do is to send a medical school letter of intent. A letter of intent tells the admissions committee that their school is your number one choice, and upon receiving an acceptance letter, you will attend their school wholeheartedly. This is crucial as schools are not only looking to fill their available spots with dedicated individuals, but it also helps them eliminate the risk of sending an acceptance only to have it rejected, leaving that same spot unfilled. It's important to note, however, that you should only send a letter of intent to your number one choice. It's unethical and unprofessional to send letters of intent to multiple schools. The second thing that you can do now is to send relevant updates. So update letters are a great way to demonstrate to the admissions committee that you haven't forgotten about them and you're still passionate and motivated to gain acceptance at their school. If you've accomplished or completed anything noteworthy since sending in your original application and completing your interview, let the admissions committee know right away. This new information can be used in their consideration of you as an applicant. So additional letters of recommendation, any publications you've contributed to, any other experiences, improved grades, and test scores are all excellent updates that warrant contacting the admissions committee. Some schools may limit the number of documents that you can send to them, while others, like the Georgetown University School of Medicine, they accept unlimited letters of interest right up until orientation day. So just check the school policy and then get sending those updates if you have anything noteworthy. My third tip to offer to you is to demonstrate dedication. So in addition to sending new information to the admissions committee, you should also use your time on the waitlist to visit the school and attend any open houses that are available. Anytime you're on campus for an event allows you the opportunity to meet members of the student body and potentially members of the admissions committee. Make sure that you're friendly and courteous to everyone you meet. Ask questions, introduce yourself where appropriate, and participating in these events will show your continual interest in the program and determination to attend their particular medical school. The last tip that I have for you in getting off the waitlist is to keep your contact information up to date. Making sure that your phone number and email address are correct and up to date is essential for getting off the waitlist. Before the end of April, schools must give applicants at least 2 weeks to accept offers of admission. However, after this period, medical schools can give less notice. So it's up to the schools to determine how much time they want to give, but the admissions committee may only give you a few days to respond to an offer of admission. So if your contact information wasn't up to date or you weren't regularly checking your emails, it's easy to miss this opportunity, which would be heartbreaking. So make sure everything's up to date and check regularly. So there you have it. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you found it helpful and have had your questions answered, so please subscribe, like, and leave a comment if you have any questions that I didn't cover in today's video. If you'd like us to help you get into medical school, click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. See you next time.